So here we go. Here are the week 2 PowerPoints for the starters. This one is texture. Okay, so this is for the gingerbread man. As I've said to you before, the 4 different starters for the 4 different workbooks focus on 4 different musical elements. And if you think that actually you'd like to focus on a slightly different one, or you like the look of one of the other lessons, but it's not relating to your work, but that's absolutely fine. Just use any of the ones that you like. So this is texture. So last week they would have looked at what texture means and why texture is important. So we looked at the 2 different versions of Gingy, and the one with nothing on and like bare basically, and then the one with lots of detail on. So this week we're talking about a 2-part texture. So I've got a 2-part invention here, linked here. You can have a listen. I've chosen one where kind of very, very clear melody in both hands. The left hand essentially copies the right hand for quite a lot of it. And you're going to ask them how many layers of sound they can hear. And hopefully they will say 2. So you click on that to get to the clip. One click here brings you the ice cream van, and then another click brings you the words. So just 2 clicks, and then talk about the layers of sound. So you can say that there were 2 melodies, the right hand and the left hand were both playing melodies, so both equally important, and you could hear 2 sounds. And I've used this ice cream. I think I posted in the group yesterday to say how excited I was. Hi, Stephanie. How you doing? I said how excited I was about these ice cream illustrations for texture. So we've got vanilla and chocolate there, and obviously vanilla and chocolate in most people's lives are equally important, and there's the same amount of each roughly. So I think that's a really nice illustration for like a 2-part kind of almost polyphonic texture. I'm not using the word polyphonic now. It's probably more contrapuntal. I would use it later when there are lots of different sounds that are equally important. So here I've just put a 2-part texture. You can have fun getting them to eat their ice cream, or to tell you which 2 flavours they would like, and getting them to eat their ice creams. Now I know that flavours doesn't have a U in the US. You can very easily just delete that from the slide. Okay, so that is the texture one. Now let me just get to, whilst I am playing around here, I'll take you off the screen. Then we have, this is the Jack and the Beanstalk. I think one person said they were doing this one. I mean, none of these things are going to go to waste, none of this work, because I'll change it into physical games once we're back to in-person. So we're going to talk about Forte, we're talking about Jack. This would normally go with a Jack lesson. Again, just be, flexible is key here. If you've already done a few lessons of Jack and the Beanstalk, you can easily just bring this one out because Jack is the main character. It doesn't have to be relating to his song. And basically, I decided that actually dynamics are quite difficult to decipher in our online lessons, I wouldn't really want to do any serious comparing of dynamics because, well, one, as I'm sure you all know, dynamics tend to be really quite subjective. So if you've got someone that's quite a loud character, they can think differently about dynamics and what's loud and what's soft to someone who's very quiet. So I think, fitting into the mix that we're online and can't really hear the differences anyway, I think that's just asking for trouble. So I have found a different way of illustrating dynamics. So we're going to bring a different rhythm out for each week and each dynamic, and they're going to learn to clap that rhythm, so we've got a bit of sight reading going on, or they can play it on their keyboard or piano. And then you're going to send them on a treasure hunt to go and find objects that can be used to clap out the rhythm or tap out the rhythm or whatever it is they might want to do. So if you can imagine, for loud, they can use lots of things like, or I'm just thinking what's around me. They can use spoons. They can use, my kids have got loads of wooden toys they could use. As you get quieter, you might want to use pencils. As you get even quieter, they could like try and find feathers or whatever, just finding things around their house that they think would illustrate the different dynamics. We may as well use what we can in terms of resources. We wouldn't normally be able to have them bringing things to our lessons. So you're asking them to find objects that would make a loud noise. And then, of course, they can show you their objects and they can clap you the rhythm with their objects. Okay, so that is the starter for Jack and the Beanstalk, and that will look very similar for each of the Jack and the Beanstalk, just with different dynamics. Okay, next up we have structure. Okay, so we're looking at patterns. We've got our three little pigs again to help us. And sorry, I've just clicked my fingers right in front of the microphone. We are looking at kind of just one bar motifs, one bar melodies that basically, if you get each of them to learn one of them, depending on your class, if you've got older children, you could get them to learn and memorize. They'd have to memorize each of them. Otherwise, just get them to learn and memorize one each, making sure that everyone is doing a different one. They are not obviously very difficult. It would be easier, I guess, for people to just remember one of them. So you'd spend a little bit of time teaching these them and then just having them on mute while they practice and make sure they remember it off by heart, because then you're going to get them, I don't know why that one popped up first, you're going to get them to play a longer melody using the different motifs. So we're talking about motifs repeating, but also being in a pattern. Okay, so whoever had the green one would play that one, etc., etc. And we've just got 4 of those. Okay, each time. So it's a 4-bar melody. Okay, so each time you'll get them playing the melody. Okay, so that's that one. The next week, what we will do is use the same melodies. The PowerPoint slide will play some of the pigs' motifs, and there'll be one missing, and they have to decipher which one it is. So that's kind of linked. Right, I'm just going to get you the last one, which is Goldilocks, not forgetting Goldilocks. Okay, so Goldilocks is pitch, as we know. We are going to start the first couple of weeks talking about, I want them to think about, because pitch is an easy element for them to hear and to listen out for, so we need to take it one step further. We need to get them thinking about why pitch might be used in certain situations. So we need to get them thinking about extra musical reasons why pitch is used and how it can be used successfully, representing emotions, moods, characters, etc. So if we use obviously sound song for a couple of these, so this week will be the elephant, and obviously it's got very low double bass. I tried to choose a recording where the double bass is, where the balance between the piano and double bass is good. There were a few where it was terrible. The piano was much too loud. But on this one, hopefully you'll agree that it actually is quite well balanced and you can hear the double bass nicely. And then you just get them, we've got a little bit of a prompt here. The pitches, hopefully they would say very low. This pitch is good for an elephant because, and then, even when you're playing, you get them stomping around the room like an elephant. So they really understand the kind of what we're trying to get at in terms of the elephant being very low, being good for an elephant. And then next week we'll have, I think we'll have the aviary, or we might even have the bird from Peter and the Wolf, one of the two. And then again, getting them to think about why that's good for high pitch. But what we're going to do throughout the project online, but also once we're into in-person lessons, is that we're going to think about getting them to hear whether something is higher or lower. So you're going to play a note and then you play another note. Is that higher or lower? So I'll be bringing out some of those PowerPoints, and then it will get more and more tricky. They can then talk about whether it's a step higher, a step lower, etc. Just developing their kind of pitch awareness. So it's not, in other words, just about high and low pitch. Okay, so I hope that has given you a really good summary into what these starter PowerPoints look like this week, and what you can do with them. I know some of you are joining me on the webinar tomorrow, so I really look forward to seeing you then. Otherwise, just ask me any questions as usual, post anything to the group. I am so excited about the Goldilocks pieces we have. I can still take in more tonight. It's Monday afternoon at the moment, so if anyone wants to send any more in, then do so. Okay, see you later, guys.